Welcome back, everyone. This is the last installment on this TRX 450R, I should say. And we are going to be done with this thing and riding it by the end of this video. So what we're going to do right now is I just have the exhaust kind of mocked up right now. It's not connected to anything. I wanted to find out how it bolted up, if I still had the bolts and all that kind of good stuff, because the exhaust system was not on the four-wheeler when I bought it. And I had to purchase a bolt here. I just got a 1/4 20. It goes all the way through and threads on that backside. And that should hold this relatively snug. So we got a lot to do on this. I have all the wiring still to do. I have to hook all the power cords back up for the stator and the timing and all that, not the timing, but the spark and all that for the coil. I got to hook the neutral safety wire back up. Well, the neutral light. I'm not sure if it's a safety. This is broken right here, as you can see. I think that's the ground. It's either the ground or the positive. I can't tell because somebody put all black wires on this. I noticed over here that this wire broke off, and it looks like it broke off the solenoid right here. So I gotta repair that. Again, this wiring is not the greatest in the world. I'm gonna go with it for now. I don't want to disturb too much of this stuff because, from what I understand, this bike was running when it blew up, and I don't want to give myself some gremlins that I'm gonna end up chasing because I went and I played around with the wiring. So I want to get it running first, and then I'll worry about neatening that up or changing it, whatever. Eventually, I'm going to have to still take this thing off. This is the grip warmer setup that was on the bike when I got it. And you can see these plug into the grip warmers themselves. But the grip warmers aren't here, so I'm going to delete this. I still got to do something about this broken headlight. You can see there the bottom mount's broken off. It shouldn't pivot like that. So this is completely junk. I'm thinking about getting some red eyes for this. We'll see. More to come on that. So yeah, that's it. We still got Nerf bars to put on, plastics, throttle cable, carburetor, all that stuff. So let's go over to the bench. And I pulled the carburetor apart last night, if you guys can see it, because I wanted to get a look to see what it was like inside. It had some really bad gas in it. I drained all the gas out. But you can see that. I haven't done anything to this carburetor, and it is really clean inside. Surprisingly clean, actually. And same within here. I mean, this is super clean. So I really don't have to do anything with it. I also picked up the motor oil. I picked up the 10W40 ATV 4-stroke oil. This one's for the engine. This one's for the transmission. The manual says that you should put in Honda lube for the transmission. But everything that I read online, and the fact that every other four-wheeler on the planet takes motor oil in the transmission, I'm just going to put transmission because some people use transmission fluid. I guess you just have to change it more often if you use motor oil instead of Honda lube. I also got a new spark plug boot because the other boot wouldn't stay on. They look like they used RTV to get it to stay down in the hole. Hopefully this will take care of the problem. We'll see. So we're going to install that too. And I think that's pretty much it. And we're just going to basically button it up. I still have to put on the chain tensioner, which is in here. And I think that's the last thing. I think that's the last piece that I really have to install on the motor, besides the exhaust. Put that carburetor back together off camera. And put the motor oil in the engine, and I'll come back when I'm done. All right, I think I'm gonna roll the engine over a little bit with the starter to try to prime some of the oil cavities. Let's see what happens. should be enough to get oil in the areas that are dry. Alright, what I'm going to do here is, this power wire is really petrified and the loop is broken off, and I just don't feel very safe with it. So I have some of this and I'm going to put that on there, and basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a loop on this end and a loop on that end and then twist tie it in. I'm going to cut a little bit off the end of this. Alright, so I can see some of that wire now. Couldn't see any of the wire before. Alright, here's a new boot. I did put a dab of oil in there just to get it to go on easier. Let's see if we can screw this thing on. Turn the key on. We got a neutral light and spark. Let's see. And we got nothing. So I got a new power line in, and it's a lot easier to do when stuff isn't on the engine, and I have it going all the way to the solenoid. I fixed this wire here. I put a new loop on that, new wire loop. So what I want to do right now is, I have a temporary battery hooked up. Actually, let me show you. I have a battery hooked up here, over to here. And what I want to do is I want to see, number one, if we have spark, and number two, if the starter's working from the handlebars and the key and all that stuff. So let's turn the key on, and I have the neutral light is on up here. So let's see. If you guys can see that, we got good spark, good strong spark. So we're good. I think at this point, let's throw the plug in it, hook some fuel up to the carburetor, see if we can't get this thing to fire over. Okay, everything's on. The exhaust is on. It's all buttoned up tight. The airbox is in. It's all connected. Carburetor's on. Throttle's working properly. It's full of antifreeze. It's full of oil. We got spark. We got the plug wire on. We got all the electrical hooked up. The engine cover's on. All the wires are in. Everything's ready to go. I think I'm going to throw the tank on in a brand new gas line. Put some fuel in the tank, and let's see what we got. We're leaking out of the O-rings over here on the carburetor. It must have dried up. Turn the key on. Let's fire it up. Now that don't sound good. That don't sound good at all. I don't know if I like that. right, that sounded good. We're leaking a lot of gas here, so I need to get some O-rings for that. I might actually have some. We'll have to look. That's an easy fix. All right, let's get a flashlight and let's take a look and see if we can see any, sorry for spinning around on you. See if we can spot any leaks. I don't see any. Looks like none of the water's leaking. Down here, I don't see anything. Looks good. Everything looks good there. The only thing I see leaking is the gas. That's it. The rest of it looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. All right, let's move on to assembling it. Plastics and all that, and let's get this thing looking like a bike again. Let's put the Nerf bars back on. I'm gonna grease those up really good, and I'm gonna put these on, and I'll come back when I'm done. Nerf bars are on. They look pretty good. They're good and solid, not going anywhere. They got the heel guards too, which are nice. I think what I might do is all right, you know what? Let's take a look at the chain. That's what we'll do. All right, this is gonna be messy. Let me get a rag. The chain was pretty rusty. Didn't move much. And I put it in this tub of oil. It's been sitting in here for 2 months. And I did rebuild a quad some time ago. I think it was a Blaster 200, 2-stroke. And the chain was really rusty. And I let it sit for like 3 months or something like that in oil. And it came out almost like brand new. And actually when I sold the bike, the person I sold it to asked me if I put a brand new chain on it. So the reason why I do this is because you look at the sprockets. If the sprockets aren't leaning, if they're perfectly pitched and they're not worn out, then the chain isn't stretched. It's just rusty. So this bike sat outside for a little bit of time, and the chain got rusty. You know, it happens. We're in New England, and so we could if we just soak it and we get the oil to penetrate it and we clean the rust off, the chain should be fine. So let's get a look at it, shall we? Probably should buy a new one, but I don't know. Let's clean it up, see what it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. This chain's pretty rough. I think we might need to get a new one. Didn't really bring it back the way I thought it would. Yeah, it's pretty rough. All right, I'll have to order a new one. It was worth a try. All right, I'm going to show you guys how to clean this up. And basically, I just use a little wire wheel, and I get the rust off. Let me get you a little closer so you can see it. Cleans the rust off. I'm going to do the rest of it, and then I'll come back when I'm done. All right, it's all clean. You can see it's all wire wheeled nice. I did this side as well. Cleaned all the rust off. Even hit that with a wire wheel, made it look better. I'm not going to paint that, but I'm going to show you guys how to paint this up and make it look like nothing ever happened. So I'm just going to take a little bit of brake clean, and I just want to wipe it down, get any of that stuff off, so the paint sticks. All right, so basically I'm just gonna take a piece of cardboard. I'm gonna lay it on here, just so I don't get paint all over stuff. That's it. I'm not even gonna get that fancy with it. I'm gonna tell you what my secret sauce is with a Honda, and it's this right here. You can go to AutoZone or Napa, any of those auto parts stores, and they sell this wheel touch-up paint. And you want to get the it's good for steel or aluminum, and you want to get this exact can. This color is the exact same match as this. It is unbelievable how close as you can't even tell. And I'll put the first coat on a little bit light, because it does go on thin. It is a thin paint. But after 3-4 coats, you won't even tell that there was ever any rust here. You get both sides. And it runs real easy, so you gotta do it in multiple coats. And now if you can see it, but it's already starting to cover it. So we'll let that tack up, and I'll hit it 2 or 3 more times, and I'll come back and show you the end result. Okay, it's all done. Now I did about 4 coats of paint on this, and you can see both sides are done. And it's still a little too cold to paint, so I helped the process along with a heat gun. Basically, I put heat to it to dry between each coat to make it tacky quick so it wouldn't run, because this paint is really thin. But I mean, look at that. Take a look at that. You would think that was a brand new AM, correct? See? I just want to show you guys that you don't need to go and buy spray paint and get spray paint all over everything. I didn't even tape anything up. The paint is so thin, and it's metallic too. I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually metallic. It matches the factory paint perfectly. It is scary how close it's painted. You can't tell the difference. You could literally redo your entire frame just by wire wheeling it and hitting it with this, and the bike would look brand new again. You don't need the powder coat and all that. I mean, you could if you really wanted to get into it, but for down and dirty, quick, making something look nice again, I mean, how do you beat that? Anyways, I'll show you the can again. This is the can I use, and you can get it at any auto parts store. Let's move on to something else. So one of the things up here we gotta fix, this is loose, so I gotta figure out why that's loose. We gotta fix that. I'll have to pull it apart and see what's going on there. I don't think the handlebar is in the right spot, and I don't know, well, if I move the bars, I'm gonna have to move all the controls. But one thing I really don't like is this foam bar here. It's hard to turn the key, and it's blocking the neutral light, and it's blocking the overheating light here. So we see, I don't want to cut it off, but let me see if I can take this bolt out and slide it off. After fooling around with the bars, this rubber pad, I couldn't get these to loosen up. I don't know, they're frozen on there, and I started stripping out. These are basically aluminum cap screws, and they just started stripping, so I cut the crossbar pad off. The reason for it is it was hard to turn the key because it was up tight against the pad. The bars were back, and this part of the bar right here, for me, my preference is I like to have this part horizontal with, parallel with the ground or horizontal with the ground. To me, it just feels better when you're riding. It's the riding position I prefer. And the bars were down a bit because they were trying to make room for the key. And of course, that didn't work for me. So I cut the pad off. The pad was foamed. I think you slid it on here. But anyways, I cut it off, and I raised the bars up to make them so that they're parallel to the ground now. And it also gave the ability to see the 2 lights here. You see the temperature light and the neutral safety light, or the neutral light. The temperature one is very important. You want to be able to see that when you're riding. So if you start overheating, you can see it. And then I readjusted the controls to meet the bars, and we're in great shape now. I think at this point I'm going to pop the tail light that I got on here. I'm gonna get this broken light off. The light still works. It still turns on with the driving lights, and the brake light portion of it still works. But as you can see, it's broken off. I think the previous owner told me that this broke down while he was riding it on a frozen lake. And when he broke down, they towed it back, and they broke the headlight, and they probably broke the tail light too, because there's no dirt in there at all. It's super clean. So I'm assuming that got broken in the process of trying to tow this thing out as well. I'm gonna replace that. So I'm gonna do that now. So you can see these are bent. They're supposed to be straight. So I'm gonna straighten those back out. I took the tail light off. It's right here. I'll hang on to it. I'll throw it in my bucket of parts. Might be something salvageable on it. The light I'm putting in is right here. Cheap eBay. It's just a cheap eBay light. I think I paid maybe 10 bucks for it. And I'll put some quick disconnects on this line here. I'll take this socket off. I'll hang on to it because could use it for something else later. Who knows? And I got this piece of aluminum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this aluminum on here and then I'm going to drill a couple of holes to mount the light to it, and I think we'll be in good shape. It'll look good. All right, so I made this up. I showed you the piece of steel, and I just used a drill press to do this big hole here. This hole is 5/8 diameter. I used a cheap Harbor Freight step drill. I think I bought a set of 3 different sizes for like $7 or something, and it worked perfectly fine. Aluminum drill is really easy. And as far as the chamfers on the end, I put it in my bench vise, and I just used a Bastard file, which is a really coarse file, and it took the corners down in seconds, probably 3, 4, 5 sweeps with that heavy file, and it came right down. To get that finish, I basically hit it with a piece of Scotch-Brite. I'm just going to use 1/4 bolts and nuts. Should be perfectly fine for what we need. So one goes there, one goes there. I'm going to grab another bolt, 2 nuts, and a couple of washers. All right, the wires are all connected, and I shrink wrapped them, so they're in good shape there. And I just want to show you guys this stuff here. This is the shrink wrap. It's Chicago brand. I bought this at Harbor Freight. You know, Harbor Freight, they got shitty stuff, but they also have good stuff. And this was a whole set, and those are all the different sizes, and I've used just about all of it. There's not much left. Stuff's pretty handy to have if you're going to be doing any electrical connections that are outside. And this thing was pretty cheap. It was probably $6 or $7. And I've used it on a lot of different things. And you can see the connections that I have made here, and the rubber grommets are still in place. This light is really sturdy. It moves, it flexes, it ain't gonna go anywhere. And you can see the hole that let me get you down bottom here. You know what? Anyway, you can see the hole that I used the step bit for. The rubber grommet for the back of the tail light goes right in there, fits perfectly inside that hole. The wires come out. I actually used a factory clip and put it on that wire there to hold this wire in place, so that's in good shape. I used double nuts on this. A nylock nut would have been perfect, but I don't have any, so I just used double nuts. It's not going to vibrate off now. Let's see what this looks like. Turn the key on. This is the lights. You can see it lights up, and then we'll hit the brakes. So that's perfect. That's fixed. Let's move on to something else. Next up, what I want to talk to you guys about a little bit is when I had this running after the first start, it started a little difficult. It was tough to start, and it ran better on choke. So, and this pipe right here, just from idling, it got cherry red. Now I know that when you use aftermarket exhaust, this tubing is thinner than factory exhaust, so it is going to get red here. But it got red really fast from just idling. So that leads me to believe that this carburetor is not jetted properly. This is a full, I don't know if you guys can see that with the light coming in the window, but it's a Yoshimura exhaust. And from when I cleaned this carburetor, factory jetting on this, the main jet is a 120 and the idle jet is a 45, or the slow jet. This has a 45 slow jet and it has a 122 main jet. Way too small, especially for this full exhaust. I want to bump this main jet up to a 165, and I think I want to go to a 150 on the idle jet. I might go 148. So let's pull the carburetor and swap those jets out. All right, so I finally got the rest of the stuff in, and hopefully this is the last of the parts that I need for this 450R, this TRX 450R. So, I bought a jet kit, and these jets are universal for all of these flats, constant CR carbs here, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, idle jets and main jets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the mains out of this. The main out of this and the idle jet, and we're going to make them bigger because I think it's running a tad lean, and we'll do that in a minute. This is the other part that I got in the mail. And it is the elbow here that goes in the carburetor. And believe it or not, these 3 O-rings were the same price as this whole thing. That's Chinese, but the O-rings should be fine. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to use the brass piece. I'll probably use the factory one, but I'm going to take the O-rings off and put them on this. We're going to do that. And then we got the chain in. And this is chain drive, and it's Caltrick. And I got a red chain, which should look okay on the bike, and we'll install that. All right, let's get set up and take care of this carburetor. All right, let's see what we got here. So the main jet is a 122. So this is a 122. Now, the factory setting on this is a 120 for this elevation. So I think with this full exhaust, we should go up to at least a 165. And if we have to come back, we'll come back. And of course, the 165 is the last jet I pick up. And the idle jet is a 42, and that is the stock size. And I think I want to go up to a 40, either a 44 or a 45 on this. And this looks like it's plugged. It is plug solid. That's a 50. All right, we're gonna go up to a 45. I'm sorry. Yeah, a 40, 45. We're gonna go from a 42 to a 45. And we'll see what that does. We can always adjust it using the air fuel mixture if we have to, but I don't think we're gonna have to. I think we'll be fine. I'm gonna put the new elbow on and put the thing back in the machine. All right, let's figure out something to do with this headlight here. So the headlight's broken. All right, it's smashed, it's broken. It's anywhere between $150 and $200 to buy a new headlight. You could probably find a decent used one for between $100 and $150. Honestly, I'm not paying $150 for a headlight. So I am going to come up with something different. Now, I purchased these lights on eBay, and let me open it up. They're kind of like a fisheye spotlight type kind of thing, and they got high and low beam. Or should I say they have like a red ring. They have the light in the middle and then a red ring. I think the red ring is like low beam, and then the center one's high beam. And they come with a mount that mounts in here. I'm thinking about mounting these somewhere around here, maybe. Up underneath. I think that'll look pretty cool with red lights. And it'll be a hell of a lot cheaper. So I'm gonna take the plastics back off. I just wanted to have an idea of where these lights ended up in relationship to the plastic. And I think we got a mounting screw right there. I think we can mount just like that, one on each side. I think it'll look pretty cool. Kind of a throwback to the Bug Eye EX400s. The headlights themselves, they mount here and here, and then there's another mount down here, which, as you guys can see, is snapped off. That mount has broken. So the headlight housing itself is just completely junk. And I'm going to take it out. One of the bulbs is busted. This bulb here seems to work, but... All right, I'm going to take this off. Okay, the wires are all connected, and I shrink wrapped them. I'm going to wrap this with electrical tape, and then I'm going to put them back in the factory clip here. I did take the lower headlight mount off. It came down here, and it kind of stuck out a little bit, and you would have saw that. Now that headlight's not blocking it, so I did take it off. It just was on here with 2 bolts. I'll show it to you on the bench. This is it right here. It kind of hung down. I had to cut the harness because I needed the socket, but headlight's junk anyway. All right, so this is how I made the bracket. I originally had it coming straight off of this, but the lights were too close together. They look kind of funny. So basically all this is just a piece of angle bracket that you would use for woodworking. And I just cut it. It already had holes in it, pre-drilled, and they were in the right spots that I needed. And that's pretty much it. And they're all wired up. Let me put you in a stand and show you what this looks like. All right, this is low beam. I think that looks pretty cool. And this is high beam. They flash, but if you shut it off, turn it back on, they'll stay on solid. So if you quick move them, the lights flash. Or if you go slow, they'll stay on solid. And you have them flashing. Either or. That might cause someone to have an epileptic fit. I wouldn't suggest that. But that's your high beam, that's your low beam. I think they came out pretty cool. And it was like 20 bucks. And that sure beats paying 150 for a new headlight. Alright guys, it's all done. I just took it for a ride up the street, goes through all the gears, runs nice, sounds good, lights are working. It's got some serious power. Well, that's it guys, it's all done. Looks pretty sick. Can't say that I'm bummed out about the way this came out at all. So it's gonna go up for sale now. If any of you guys are interested in this and you live in the Boston area or you don't mind traveling for it, shoot me an email, rcbgarage@gmail.com, and maybe we can work out a deal. But it's definitely getting sold, and we'll move on to the next project. It came out really nice. The only thing I have to do is I got to get a new battery for it because it won't start without a jump. It just doesn't have enough power to fire the engine over. But other than that, she's good to go. And I want to thank you guys for sticking through all the videos and watching me do this really intense build. And I want to thank all you guys for subscribing, watching, liking, sharing, all that kind of stuff. And if you guys like this, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. I got another project coming this way, and I don't want to spoil the surprise. You might have saw it in this with me walking around this off to the side here. But that's a real doozy. You don't want to miss that one. So make sure you guys subscribe, and we'll get that next video going, that next video series. And you can see here I got the new chain on there. It looks good. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this, and it's going to go on to a new home, and somebody's going to be very happy with this bike. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.